What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 812 of FloWrestling Radio Live, Mega Show Edition. It was almost a Mega Show Edition. Sion Williams did not make the walk, but John Kozak, James Dean Rader, Ben Askren, not scared. Shane Sparks, not scared. Sion Williams, I'm putting it out there. I'm putting your name in the streets. You're scared.
You say you want to come on. He's going to be walking in about 15 minutes.
Man, yeah, he'll come in like the Kool-Aid man, bust through this door, kick me out of my seat. But I can talk smack a lot easily over the airwaves than in person. He's an intimidating man. But enough about the people that aren't here. He'll be on at some point. Probably tomorrow, maybe. He wants to come on very badly, but he has some. Sion claims there's a warehouse. JD, have you heard about this place, the warehouse that we claim to have?
I've heard of it. I am not. I can not confirm or deny if it actually exists.
No one knows. He claims because when you don't see him, he's like, I've been up at the warehouse. But I don't know what no one knows about this warehouse. Tyler, the producer, I don't know if you can even confirm the existence of this warehouse. But he says it's where he goes to work.
What's allegedly
can confirm it exists.
He confirms it exists, but he could be in on it. He's part of that whole Sion thing. So I don't know if we can even trust this guy. I don't know. Until we go to the warehouse, we don't know if it's real. The sales department of Shane Sparks, they don't know anything about any kind of warehouses. These are the one percenters. These are the people flying around, whining and dining, and getting those big money clients. Shane, how are you doing this Wednesday?
Doing fantastic. Hope you guys all had a good 4th, and I had a crazy dream. I had a dream. I mean, is there anything worse when you get woke up from a dream? Like it's a good dream and the alarm goes off? Yeah, I was dreaming,
worse things.
And this might have been a combination of two things. I'm watching Winning Time, this like kind of fiction, kind of truth on HBO Max about the LA Lakers. It is out there. But Jerry Buss is from West Virginia. So I think there was some West Virginia clips that might have been in my head. And then, of course, Kyle Bradkey, West Virginia. And then my son came to visit, and he drove back. And I know that he went through West Virginia. So West Virginia is on my mind, which is a great state, by the way, beautiful state.
You're right.
But had a dream that I was at a West Virginia football game, and then the alarm went off. So here we are.
Well, Kyle Bradkey can help hook it up. He can get you to a WVU game.
That's the best drive I've ever done in my life is from Pittsburgh to West Virginia. I did it on Halloween last year. It was stunning drive.
Spooky and stunning.
It was beautiful.
Beautiful part of the country for sure. Okay, and James Dean, he's back in the Jewel of the Midwest, Jewel, Iowa. What's the slogan?
A gym in a friendly setting.
A gym in a friendly city. Can't beat that. They don't have anything like that at Funky Fresh Farms.
We do not.
Okay. All right, so we got news dumped again. This happens all the time. They love to do it. And they just wait for us to post it. USC, UCLA.
I don't want to listen. I don't want to rain or pray because this might be bigger than us.
No, it all comes back to FRL, Ben. The USC, the chancellors at USC, UCLA, Pac-12.
They know.
This goes to the highest levels, Ben. Ben can't commit to the gimmick. It's really sad. Mr. WWE.
Christian, you would make a great WWE. You know, you can be you're probably too small to be like an in-ring personality. You could be a manager. You could be Gable Stevens' manager.
I'd love
Jimmy Hart. Christian's got
Jimmy Hart vibes. There we go.
I look bigger on camera, possibly. Not as big as Gable, though. So, big news just in the sports world and the collegiate sports world. USC and UCLA to the Big Ten. There was an alliance. I don't know if you guys were aware of the alliance, but about a year ago, maybe less, Pac-12, Big Ten, and ACC said, hey, we're not going to poach each other's teams. We're an alliance. We have a handshake agreement. And the Big Ten said, just kidding. We're going to steal 2 of your teams.
There is no honor among thieves. Yeah.
No loyalty. No loyalty.
None.
And so the questions for wrestling fans is, well, what is the impact on wrestling? Well, to get out in front of it, no. And I think it's out there, but there's no requirement for these schools to add wrestling.
There should be, though.
Sorry, Ben.
Ben is a liar.
Ben is a liar, convinced or convicted for sure. but they don't have to add wrestling, and they certainly will not add wrestling. I just see there's no chance of that happening. This move
Say
is
0 to 5%.
They're not changing
0.
conferences.
We're gonna give it a small chance.
Okay.
I'm saying 0 to 5%.
There you go.
They had an NCAA champ back in the day. What the hell was his name? Maybe Fred Fozzard, maybe.
Wow. Kyle Klingman would definitely know, and I definitely would not know. USC never had a team. UCLA has, but they don't have a program now, obviously. And this move is all about football and revenue, and stuff related to that. It has nothing to do with them adding sports. So it's going to be, I think, for the Big Ten and how it's going to affect wrestling, I think on the media side, it's going to have a negative impact on wrestling, because I think now you've got to jam in more teams, basketball games, women's basketball, men's basketball. It just gets that much more crowded. And, I think wrestling really enjoyed a lot more TV coverage on Big Ten linear. I can't imagine that that's going to be increased with this, and especially if the Big Ten.
Well, listen, let's
get
not
some
act
more
like
teams.
Wrestling doesn't do better ratings than women's basketball. It definitely does.
Yeah.
Oh, I can speak to that.
We got a Big Ten
the
Network
Big Ten.
insider.
Yeah,
Speak to it.
wrestling is either third or fourth. It's
in the Big Ten.
On the Big Ten Network, yes.
Yeah. Obviously, football, basketball. Then it either goes wrestling, volleyball, or volleyball, wrestling. Volleyball and wrestling are the two big. Those have been the two big points of emphasis the last couple of years, and they have not disappointed. I'm with you, Christian. When I first, I think as wrestling fans, you first hear this and you get excited first, like, oh, maybe, and then you kind of take a couple of steps back. I haven't talked to anybody at BTN about this, but then I kind of get a little bit nervous too, thinking, man, now, like you just said, there's a lot more things. That more schools to cover. I have no idea, but I'd have a hard time. And again, I have no clue about how this stuff works behind the scenes or whatever else. But man, Friday nights become a pretty big night on that network with wrestling, and I'm not sure from a ratings perspective. I think it'd be tough to beat that, but all of a sudden it's UCLA versus Michigan in basketball, and then. Because plus all these sports too, just, you got, Big Ten football's on ESPN, it's on FS1, it's on Fox, it's on Big Ten Network. Like, you know what I mean? That's where the stuff gets complicated, I think.
Yeah.
Hey, so I got two things here. Number one, the NCAA champion from UCLA was Fred Bona, who's from Clovis High School, coached by Danny DeLito. How tremendous.
Nice. What year was that, Ben?
That was 1978, I think it was. But the more important question, can we take a step back? Because I only follow wrestling, MMA, and disc golf. That's really it, right? I don't pay attention to any other sports. So I guess my question, when I'm thinking about this conference realignment, I'm thinking like, what is their end goal of these conferences? Because a conference traditionally is like, so I understand money, but I'll get there. So the end goal is like, what is it? Because a conference traditionally is a set of teams who are close together by geographic proximity, and then you do that, and then the conference champ, and then they go play for the national championship or something to that effect, right? And now effectively you have the Big Ten is going. Rutgers is on one coast, right? They're in New Jersey, and now they're going all the way to the other coast, and they're kind of spread out all the way in between. There's obviously a Midwest hub, but they're pretty spread out now. You got Penn State and Indiana. So, like when they're trying to do this 16, are they just is the Big Ten going to try to get like 32 teams? Are they going to try to get all the teams and be like the national championship and then exclude the other teams? Or like, what are they actually trying to do, I guess, is my question.
I can speak to it.
It all comes back to TV deals. Yeah. So, like, obviously, the more good teams you have across the country, the more money you can get for your football TV rights. And to a slightly degree, basketball, but mostly football.
Sure. And I understand that, but then, like, take another step. Like, are they going past 16? Are they going to try to go to 20? They're like, is it going to try to be one conference? And then will that one conference say NCAA? we are now our own boss. Get lost. Like, what's going to happen?
I mean, if you're the Big Ten, why would you stop?
Well, when you hear some of these big, the big college football analysts talk, their whole thing is like, this is leading to, again, this their words, not mine, because I have no idea how this works, but saying that eventually this is just all this stuff is one step closer to the end of the NCAA.
Yes, that's what this is like signifying to me, and why it worries me. It's not about as much conferences, about that. Obviously, we knew football, and to a slightly less degree basketball, were the drivers of college sports the past however many years, but it didn't really affect anything super much. Now, nobody's even trying to hide it, and strictly like going off of financial moves that affect just football and maybe a little bit basketball. It's like Olympic sports are just on for the ride, and collateral potentially, like, but who cares? Because like, if you're a Big Ten commissioner, Pac-12 commissioner, like, those Olympic sports don't really make you that much money.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, looking at these rights deals. So this doesn't happen for another 2 years with the SEC.
2 years, that was one.
So it's so
2024.
SEC 2024, and then the Big Ten with USC UCLA is 2025. So we're still a few years off.
Okay.
So it all comes off of like the grant of rights deals, which is like the media deals. And so like essentially what they're doing, and every school is looking out for the security of their future and making as much money as possible, because like the landscape of NCAA athletics is changing, and college academics, like they need as much money as they can get. So every institution is looking out for the betterment of themselves rather than like the betterment of like the Pac-12 conference or the Big 12 conference. And so essentially what we have right now are two super conferences in the Big Ten and the SEC. And so the Big Ten, SEC, they're targeting, and Notre Dame is like the next linchpin. Where is Notre Dame going to go? But they're targeting institutions that are going to bring them the most value, so they can up their network deals. And so they're not targeting like the small.
So no one's outright said we want to go to 30 teams or like, and then be kind of the thing. Because like then my mind always goes like, well, what is the end goal of it? Is it going to just keep going forever, and then they're going to out the NCAA? Because I saw something yesterday that said that the Big 12 is now going to go after, since the Pac-12 or whatever has been weakened, that the Big 12 is going to go after like Colorado and a few of those type of teams, Arizona, something like that.
Arizona State in there as well.
Yeah.
Utah.
Yeah, that's
I
kind
think
of
Arizona State was the only one listed with wrestling.
Yeah, that's the big talk, is like what's going to happen with the Pac-12 and the Big 12, and then also the ACC, because the ACC, their grant of rights extends all the way through 2035-36 season.
What?
So it's like a really long time. But if like a majority of those big name schools wanted to leave, then that would be like the next thing, where if those conferences dissolve, then it's like free game, because then they're not accountable to like those grant of rights deals that they sign. So if all of a sudden the Pac-12 and the Big 12 dissolve, then Texas, Oklahoma, they can leave and go to the SEC right away. USC, UCLA, they can leave and go to the Big 10 right away.
And right now, guys, I believe, ironically, the Pac-12 is opening up, like they're having negotiating TV rights going on right now.
Yeah.
Like,
ouch.
I mean, whoa. I mean,
LA.
I think a lot of this, again, just from reading, is that the reason that the Pac-12 is in this position is because their horrible television deal that was signed years back. I guess it was just brutal.
It's bad, and a lot of people don't watch their stuff. It's all the, if you look at most of the Pac-12 teams, the major markets, they're also in major markets with other professional sports teams. Like, that's not the case in the SEC or the Big Ten, really.
Well, could it also be timing? Because I know when I was a college kid, this is me speaking, when I actually did watch other sports, because probably FloWrestling didn't really exist in its current form, is like, you'd watch some college football on Saturday, and then, a Big Ten game would end at like, I don't know, 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, or whatever. You'd be like, all right, I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna go do something with my friends, and then there's like the Pac-12 games are just starting, like, and you're like, nah, I ain't watching that. That's too late. There's no way I'm watching that.
And that's another reason, Ben, going back to where this goes back to wrestling, because of course it's the most important for us, is, maybe on the wrestling side of things, everything's kind of the same, and then they just, maybe wrestling, for instance, there's a 5:00 dual meet from Penn State Eastern time. And then maybe it's, Iowa, Wisconsin at, 7:00. And then after
6
that,
and 8 usually is what they've been doing this fall, at least in Central Time Zone.
Yeah, maybe you bump it up an hour, and then it's, let's send it out to, Los Angeles for UCLA and USC women's basketball, whatever it is.
Yeah, I think the concerning thing is the biggest threat to wrestling is the Pac-12 teams, and the fact that these schools and the media rights deals are supporting the institutions and supporting these athletic programs that don't make money, and wrestling doesn't make money for basically any school, with a very few limited number of exceptions. And so with that, it's like, all right, well, what does this mean for Oregon State, where Kozak just was? What does this mean for Stanford, which was just on the chopping block 45 minutes ago? What does this mean for Arizona State, who some of you may remember, they cut their program not that long ago and had to get reinstated probably in 2007, 8, something like that, maybe a little before then. So it's precarious out west, and the finances aren't great, and Olympic sports, a men's Olympic sport, is a easy thing to just lop off, and that's where I get concerned, because I feel like our sports are constantly just fighting for their lives because they don't have really a leg to stand on in terms of the revenue that they generate.
And
you know what sucks is that article you had us read yesterday, Christian.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that $20 million price tag. That's so annoying that they want. I mean, it almost feels like it's being held at ransom, because obviously, a Division I college wrestling program costs maybe $1 million a year to operate. It probably could be less than that also. But the $20 million is based on a figure of 5% interest per year, and then it can live off the $1 million. And well, that $20 million sits in a nest egg essentially. But it makes the barrier to entry so hard. Whereas, like, you told a rich guy, hey, give me a 5-year guarantee of $1 million a year, and then you get it rolling, and you start doing, getting other fundraisers. But I know they don't want to risk that the guy's not going to come up with $1 million the next year, because they don't want to go through the process of starting it and then not being able to keep it. But that does really make it suck.
Yes, yeah, it does. And they just want to be able to be like, set it and forget it, not have to worry about fundraising or this thing being a drain on the institution. So that's why you're seeing wrestling growing at these smaller schools where it's an enrollment play. And just like the article stated, USC and UCLA aren't hurting for enrollment, and adding 30 wrestlers to a team is just totally negligible. Whereas, a Presbyterian adding 30 wrestlers, 60 if they get, women's as well, that's very tangible and helpful to their institutions. So that's why I see wrestling growing at these areas, but a Power 5 school adding wrestling, the last time that happened was when? Can't think of an instance.
Man, I wonder what the answer to that question is, Christian. That's interesting.
What is the answer? Never?
I don't know. It's
Stanford.
Well, somebody would have had to been the last to add it, right? I mean, it has to be somebody. I mean,
beyond our lifetimes, obviously, it would be.
Yeah.
That'd be a great trip. The last.
Jason Bryant, where you at?
Kyle, he's in the YouTube chat.
Kyle Klingman, where you at?
He was.
Also, remember, to add a program, you also have to add a female sport.
Generally,
basically, to stay in compliance with Title IX.
No.
So it's not just a wrestling monetary ad. It's a whole nother sport.
Yep.
Yeah, I think this, hopefully for every program out there, causes them to wake up and be like, all right, we gotta raise our money, we gotta get our finances straight, we gotta get working with our donors. And that was one of the things I learned about Oregon State. They said that when Oregon dropped their program, it was one of the best things for the Oregon State program, because they got I don't know if they got scared or they got organized, and they have like a $7 million endowment.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know that. So
yeah,
like,
I remember Zaleski. I think that was something Zaleski did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting though? Peeling the onion back a little bit. You're right. You got to protect your program, but let's not forget. Now you got this NIL stuff. Donors probably getting pinched for some of that stuff, right? I mean, it's like, I mean, you can only ask. You can only ring the knock on the same couple of doors so many times. It's pretty scary.
There seems to be a real concern among wrestling leadership about the impact of NIL on wrestling. To a degree, I don't fully, I guess, understand or maybe even agree with, but they seem to be really freaked out with how NIL is going to really hurt wrestling, which I don't know. I guess remains to be seen, but could definitely happen. Shane, what is your
college sports in the last year? I mean, holy smokes! I mean, if we were talking about this last year and said, "Hey, here's the crystal ball. Here's what's going to happen in the next 12 months," we'd all be sitting here like, "What?" I mean, like, man, impactful stuff. I'm not. You know me, guys. I went and saw Howard Jones at Summerfest on Friday night, one of the best artists in the mid '80s. You know me. Let's go back to 1980. Let's go back. Howard Jones.
This sounds like Howard Jones sounds like
segment.
Howard Jones sounds like a conservative university in like Atlanta area.
I think Howard Jones is a university.
Get on Apple Music, get Howard Jones' greatest hits. You'll recognize 5-6 songs.
British musician. Oh my God, this guy he has.
You were listening to a British musician on the July 4th weekend, Shane. That's
hey, he had top 10 hits
upsetting.
between 1983 and 1986.
Yes, he did, Ben.
Actually, you know, we don't usually tell my kids what to wear, but my daughter, we were going to the 4th of July fireworks, and she came out and she had a red, white, and blue jacket on, but it had the British flag, and we're like, traitor, take it off. No,
man,
don't put it back in the room. That is who we fought for freedom against.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this, my point being is let's go back to 1986 and hit pause and I'll be fine.
Oh God.
Things were just simpler. It was just, I don't know.
Stop.
Grumpy old man, get off my lawn. But
I are being a grumpy old man.
I loved it. I loved things were simple. I don't know. This stuff is just getting so complicated to me. It's like, man, I mean, where does this stuff end?
It's when the AI takes us over. That's when it ends. We're screwed.
It's coming for us all. Yeah. Anyways. Okay.
Let's back to Howard Jones. Howard Jones makes me happy when he had top 10 hits between 1983 and 1986.
He's got some. This is an interesting looking individual. Very.
Was he rocking this
I just said
absurd? Was he rocking this absurd haircut?
He was. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. He's
67 years old.
Could get any 46-year-old in the crowd.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, exactly.
This guy's not pulling any 46-year-olds. He's not pulling. No.
Look at that jacket.
No, sir. No, sir.
He was great.
Maybe in Milwaukee he would. Maybe in Milwaukee he'd pull.
Yeah, Milwaukee. The Shenandoah Valley. This is not flying. No, sir.
He's great. He's really good. I mean, the guy's 2 weeks older than my mom, for God's sakes. He was good. He was really good.
We all know how old Shane's mom is.
Yeah, she's 67.
Oh my God.
Oh man. Okay.
Wow.
Well, Shane, how does it sit with you knowing your conference? You are Mr. Big Ten. They're out here tricking teams. They're starting alliances, and then they're breaking the alliances. Did they not watch Survivor or The Office?
Yeah, I was a little bit. I mean, I hate. I mean, you guys know this. I'm about as shallow as it gets. Anything overly complicated, I kind of quit on. I don't love to learn. You know, it's one of my weaknesses. Like if it's complicated and requires a ton of brain power, I don't really want to learn. I mean, I just kind of shallow. I'm like Ben said before, and Ben is super intelligent, and I know he reads and knows all kinds of stuff. He's not giving himself enough credit. I truly am not a big learner. I mean, here I'll give you a great story, and this is not good, but this is how I thought.
Oh, Shane, don't implicate yourself in anything right now.
No, implicate.
To young kids out there listening. So here's me. I go to high school and I don't like algebra. Okay.
Shout out.
So you know what I say in my mind? Like, and God bless my mom and dad, but there probably should have been some serious conversations on changing my mindset. My mindset was, I want to be a broadcaster, so I don't need this stuff. It's stupid.
You're right.
So I'm just gonna, maybe I don't know, get a D- in it because who cares? I don't need it.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I. But that stuff is good for your brain. Like that stuff does help you. I mean, it helps your brain. It'll help you.
Shane.
So I wish I would. I need to start reading. I went to Barnes and Noble 5 years ago and bought 2 books. One on Al Michaels, one on Peter Sagan. Tour de France is going on right now, which there's great tour coverage on Flow Sports. Also, check out the biking vertical.
Tour de France. I used to watch that before.
It's so good
for steroids.
Those guys, they got it cleaned up now.
No way. You really think they're cleaned up? I mean, because that race is like, how could the human body do that?
In comparison to what it used to be, probably.
The way it can do it is they're jamming themselves with steroids all the time. Tremendous. Whatever. I'm in.
Yeah, it's something. But I've not picked up one of those books yet. I mean, it's like, why don't I read? I never, ever, ever read. I need to. So
I disagree.
So anyways, to get back to your point with the Big Ten, I don't read it because it's just over my head, so I quit. It's like, this is too difficult. I don't understand it. I quit. That's it.
Well, listen, I'm with you. You should not say the algebra is good. It is not good. You don't need algebra.
Well, I just did an algebra equation this morning with my daughter. Come on, algebra.
For what?
I'm not saying like
for what practical purpose, Ben? Be honest.
No,
what practical purpose?
Basics. The basics like ratios and things like that. Like
I don't think that's algebra.
Do need. Why not?
A ratio, I don't think is algebra. That's just math.
If
Yeah,
you have to solve for X.
If you could,
are you solving for X?
Could be algebra.
Guys, I'll give you the best equation to figure out. Basic math, like I'm pretty good at arithmetic. The equation I've used, if somebody said basic math, give me something that you've really used a lot, is over of percent over 100. That
is what?
Is over of.
Rise over run? What are we talking about here?
Is over of percent over 100. That like equation.
What is that? I don't know that
out of
equation.
60 equals what percent out of 100?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
Like if you could figure that, I mean, that one's I've gotten some mileage out of that.
40 over 60, no problem.
I've gotten some mileage out of that one, figuring out percentages. If this is 70%.
Yeah, that's like basic algebra. So yeah, the basics you need.
Basics you need, yeah.
I don't think that's actually algebra, but
I mean, I know what is pi 3.16 or whatever. I've never used that. I still don't quite understand.
You know what? Hey, listen, we're going way off the rails, but I'm gonna go. You know what I want to do, guys? I always get annoyed that on a wrestling mat, you go to a wrestling mat on a Saturday, right? A wrestling tournament, and there's 8 mats. Okay, and then these mugs are using circles. Okay, which if we know area of a circle, it's pi r squared. Okay, and I'm like, hey, if you do the equation on say at 20 foot from center, okay. And you do that, and then you do a square, okay? Boom, square. You're getting like 30% more area for the space that you're using. If you're using all circles, you're wasting so much space in the middles. You got to turn the mugs into squares because then it's just, squared, right? So 20 squared, and then you get 400 feet of area. Boom, we're good to go. What do you think? Squares, not circles.
Sounds good on the
Simple
surface.
algebra, Christian. Way more surface area to wrestle in. What we all want. Way more surface area to wrestle in. Jiu-jitsu does squares. Geniuses.
Squares.
Makes them so much more smart than us.
You got to extend the extra mat, though.
Yeah, you need to say, well, if you're doing squares, I mean, right, this issue with a circle is in a circle, it's a circle on a square. It's not a circle on a circle. It's
so there's only extra up in the corner. On the edge, there's not the extra.
Correct, right? So you need.
So why do we need the extra up in the corner, but not on this edge?
Exactly, right? So make it a square. So instead of the circle being 3 feet from the edge, you make the square 4 feet from the edge, and you still have way more area. It's so simple. And then you're constantly 4 feet from the edge of the mat. You're not 3 feet and then 27 feet from the edge.
Hey, I'm with you.
All right, simple algebra right there.
I kind of want to go to war on the education
that's where the coaches sit.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I'm with Shane. I don't like school.
Why? What was your grade in Algebra 1?
I already told you about this. Algebra 1 actually
bad, right?
Terrible. I failed trig. Algebra 2. Algebra 2 failed.
All right, Christian.
I failed algebra 1. I didn't want to say it before.
2y equals 24. What is it?
What is it?
3x plus 2y equals 24. What's the answer?
Hold on. 3x.
I'm sure there's probably multiple answers because I just made it up.
Wait, 3x plus 2y equals 24? What am I solving for here? I'm not doing
X and
this.
Y, knucklehead.
I can do it.
I just thought one answer was 4 for X and 5 for Y was one answer. I'm sure there's multiple answers here.
I'm not doing that right now. I could solve that though. I promise you I could solve that.
6 and 3 was an answer also. Yeah, okay, good.
Hey, so back to our conferences though. Would you guys be happy if like the Big 12 and the Pac-12 combined for wrestling?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
For wrestling.
Also,
I mean, those are 2 small conference tournaments on both. Well, I mean, the Pac-12 was literally what?
No, the Big 12's huge now.
Big 12.
Big 12 huge now. Yeah.
I also hear like North Carolina is thinking about joining the Big 10 also.
What?
So,
Oh my gosh! What?
That's what I'm saying. Where's the Big 10 going to stop?
Yeah.
They're
the national tournament at some point.
They're just going to absorb every team.
Yeah.
Especially in wrestling.
Yeah, that's great. Not really. Yeah, I wonder, does the conference system just go away in wrestling and we move, like cross country has 9 like regionals, I think, that feed into their national tournament. Like, could we do that? Something that's actually like regionally based instead of just sticking to the conference.
Division 2 does. They have their conferences, but it's the regions that feed into the national tournament.
I don't hate the region idea either. But then back to our point of the money thing, it's like, I know the Big Ten's not getting rich off of wrestling, but the Big Ten coverage is pretty good in wrestling. So I guess maybe you could still maintain that and move it a little bit earlier, and the Big Ten would still get their thing. But I think, the Big Ten duels and the Big Ten tournament do relatively well, so they're probably making a little bit of money off that.
Yeah.
That also creates issues with, okay, this team is next to this team's Big Ten, this team's Big 12, they got ESPN who shows their conference tournament, but Big Ten obviously shows theirs. So who gets to show that regional tournament,
Yeah.
And
honestly, I mean, it could be kind of like, honestly, the more relevant things, the better. So if you had the Big Ten tournament, it would be relevant. And you also had a regional qualifying tournament would also be something relevant. Because you think like football, I don't really pay attention, but what it seems to me like they're doing is just they just keep making more stuff to try to sell, right? So like, don't they have like 8 teams in the playoffs now and like 74? Like you could be 3-8 and get a bowl game, I think.
No,
you still have to be 500.
Listen, you suck. Well, then they just add some numbers. They just call
they are devaluing like bowl games, especially by taking like USC and UCLA out of the Pac-12, because then it basically like eliminates the Rose Bowl. Like Rose Bowl doesn't matter because all that matters is the playoff. So they're trying to make the playoff way more valuable than the bowl games. Is essentially what they're trying to do.
Well, obviously the playoff is going to be more valuable than bowl games.
Yeah, well, and the conference, like, because the conference leads to the playoff, so the bowl games don't mean as much as like the conference championship tournament.
It only leads to the playoff as much as a regular season game leads to the playoff. Like, it doesn't actually feed into it. It's just that, like, if you win your conference, you have another win and you're more likely to get in. The basically only feeder is the SEC championship. Like, if you win the SEC championship, you're going to be in the playoff.
Yeah. So okay. Back to the wrestling conference thing and how that would work or not work. I think one thing that a regional system would help is the conference feeder system is sort of strange in wrestling, where we have this one tournament that is so disproportionately supports and sends guys to, and it should. And I would never. I think there's some coaches out there that would advocate for amending the system so the Big Ten is not sending so many. I think that would be just totally foolish. I think you want the best 33 guys there, and to limit what Big Ten can send is just idiotic, right? Just because you want to look what happened. Listen, there's a conference 2 years ago when there were no Ivy League teams. They got all those people in, and they did not place. It was not good. It was not a good look for that conference sending that many people. Okay. But I think if you had a more even distribution of talent, you're not going to have fully even contribution, but a Midwest region would send more. But if you moved it around a little bit. I think it could be a good thing that fed into the NCAAs.
Move around a little bit.
Yeah, move around a little bit. And
I think
isn't that
what gymnastics does also, guys? Is it? I feel like gymnastics, NCAA gymnastics takes the top 12 teams and they separate them 2 in each region, and then fills in the rest. Something to that effect.
Yep.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
Whatever.
But yeah, I don't think. I think that could be a solution. I don't know if that's even in discussion for wrestling leadership, but maybe something they're forced to consider at a certain point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Ben, you're right. They split up the qualifying tournaments based off the top 16 teams, and then they separate everybody else.
And you didn't think you knew anything about other sports, Ben. So you didn't.
Well, I remember that one from when I was in college. But I was not sure that it was the same, but I remembered it was something like that, where it was like top couple. And then I think in gymnastics, which I don't think we would do this in wrestling, but I think in gymnastics, the top couple teams take all of their people to nationals, like the whole team.
Okay.
I believe something to that effect.
Ben says he would.
Christian's out. He's so out on the gymnastics. Yeah, I would crush you guys for
math.
Math decathlon, you're all going down.
I don't know
algebra, geometry. I got all the equations.
I think Kozak would smoke you.
Bull crap. Let's go, Kozak. I'm ready.
All right, let's go.
Yeah,
I'm ready to rumble.
This is a contest I'm proud to lose. I'm gonna battle out with Shane for last place.
I feel like Spay would do well.
Yeah, Spay.
You guys are giving JD too much
geography
credit,
B is Spay.
Yeah.
I'm sure Spay is very good at math, but geography B he would.
No, I got that too. I got a geography degree. What in that? Grammar.
Really?
I'm not gonna do good at grammar. Grammar, that's my weakness.
Yeah.
Geography, that's my degree. Math, unless we go like parabolic equations and quadratic formulas and kind of this like really next level stuff. I don't remember that, but
quadratic.
Algebra.
I don't think that's that next level. I'm pretty sure they did that in like.
What is the quadratic formula?
I don't know, but I remember knowing that was a thing.
I don't know either. I remember it was kind of hard. Now I got to look it up.
I don't think it's that. A squared plus bx plus c equals 0.
I know the Pythagorean theorem. I know that one. Ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Yeah, I don't know. Come on, man. I don't know that.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure that's an algebra term. Quadratic is like algebra 2.
But I'm saying high level. No, it's not.
You're saying algebra 2 is high level. They're giving that to idiot CP was in that class.
2. That's like in what's it, calculus or something?
I don't know. I think quadratic.
This is the Pythagorean theorem. I said that one's easy.
Pythagorean is easy.
I know that one. I actually used that one the other day because in the Great Canyon, they tried to make me jump off this cliff, and I said I'm gonna do the Pythagorean theorem to figure out how tall that damn cliff is because it's kind of scared me a little bit. But I didn't know any of the numbers, so I couldn't actually calculate it. But I knew how I was going to. I did
doesn't make sense.
Boat distance from the rock, okay, plus this angle, and I go a squared plus b squared c squared, boom, and I got it. And then I said, Ben, don't be a freaking whip, jump off that stupid ass rock. And then I was so scared, but I did it.
Wow. Yeah, that's not the Pythagorean theorem. But
feet first, right? Feet first, Ben?
I wasn't first. No, I was not first. I let the guy.
Feet first.
Feet first, yes. I let the guy.
I will never, ever, ever again in my life
jump
into anything head first. I mean, when I was, I think the last time I
jumped head first. Are you insane?
What's that?
You jumped head first from a cliff?
No, I'm just talking about in general. Anything. Like never jump. I always never jump in head first. It's not worth it.
Holy moly.
Any place. Diving board into a swimming pool, nothing.
Okay.
Too risky.
You know it's 20 feet deep. You're still not jumping.
Not doing it, KD. I'm not doing it. Nope. I'm not. Nope.
Okay.
Those days are long gone.
All right. Next up, they're complaining about us going off the rails in the chat.
Are they really?
Jeff Baxter, you're not going anywhere. What are you talking about? You're not leaving. These people are not leaving. They love it too much. So Kozak's here because he was in Corvallis, Oregon.
That's why I'm here.
That's why he's here. To talk about his trip to Oregon State. Saw Chris Pendleton.
Were you there when the news dropped? You were already back, weren't you?
No, I was there. I was there the day it dropped.
Ooh.
Wow. Okay. So let's give the floor to Kozak. What was the trip like? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, me and Tyler went, our video guy, and it was really cool to see, behind the scenes of the program. They went from 46th in 2021 to 12th, in 2022. So kind of to see who we got there. Is that Ozzy Man?
Oh man, that's
Ozzy, say hi, and then you got to leave, okay? I know we can't battle right now.
Oh my gosh, he wants to battle.
He wants to battle. I was like,
I tell you guys bye, and then you got to go.
See you, buddy.
We'll battle in a little bit, okay? Look how sad you guys are making him. He's so sad.
He even sticks the
He's
lip
got the
out.
lip.
Ozzy, you got to go.
Yeah, he knows how to play. He knows how to play that game.
Oh,
Bye.
what a little savage.
But no, it was cool to see behind the scenes. I think it's really interesting the staff in particular that Pendleton has required, like his assistant coaches and everything. He has 2 guys on staff that never wrestled Division I, in Nate Angle and Josh Roden, and then his new volunteer assistant Corey Crooks. When he first got to college, he was a preferred walk-on, and he didn't get scholarship till his last year at Arizona State. And so, asking Pendleton about, is that kind of by design? And he's like, oh, absolutely. Like he's like, I don't think you have to be a great wrestler in order to be a great coach. He said, you look at other sports, they don't assemble their coaching staff based off accolades. They assemble their coaching staff based on who are good leaders, who are good coaches. And so that's what he's seemingly doing with his staff. So I think that's really interesting. It's also really interesting looking at his roster and how he's like pieced together his roster from. They have various transfers from Fresno State, a couple from Arizona State, and he's got some junior college guys coming into the lineup this year as well. He got guys off the transfer portal last year with Gary. So it's like the program overall, it's really interesting, to kind of look behind the scenes. The area is beautiful. I don't know if you guys have ever been, spent much time up in Oregon, but they're like 45 minutes from the coast. They took us on this really cool hike. We've got footage coming out from that probably in the next day or so. But really cool program. A lot of good, just good people. They were so good to us up there. So if you ever get the chance to go, it's worth going to see just that area.
So who breaks? So my question for Ben is who breaks the standoff first? Do you call Pendleton, or does Pendleton call you for this AWA connection?
The pipeline, yeah.
Because that would be the most hilarious.
We texted it a few times. Yeah, I don't know. We got to get someone sent out there. But yeah, they obviously did a great job this year. I like what you guys were saying about because I think there is a misconception that you have to be a great wrestler to be a great coach. And I think being a great wrestler means you understand wrestling at a certain depth. And I think there's more depth to wrestling than certain other sports when you're playing them. But that doesn't mean that people who weren't great wrestlers can't be great coaches, right? Because if you continue that passion for the sport, I mean, you think about it, like I remember going to college and say Bart Horton, right, who was like a one-time All-American, and I don't think it was very high. He was kicking my ass for years, right? I mean, I finally got the better of him when I got older, but it was like if they just continue to learn, right, and they continue to be in the room, they're going to get so much better, right? So their skill level as a, say, 29-year-old assistant coach is going to be so high, so much higher than when they were 22. And if they have that passion for the sport and they're willing to learn and keep teaching, that's so much better than and right, not all coaches are like this, but a guy who had a high level accomplishments who's not really as into it anymore, or even a high level guy who maybe used athleticism for a bunch of his success and then can't replicate it, or doesn't know how to teach other styles, like stuff like that, or doesn't want to do the recruiting or the other hard things.
So it's an interesting thing in wrestling, and we've talked about it before, Ben, just how the best, or at least you can say the most successful coaches are often have been some of the best wrestlers. Yes. Mm-hmm. What is the threshold for wrestling skill, knowledge required to be good? Where do you think that line is? Because obviously, I don't think you could have a successful coach that had never wrestled.
Well, I think, like I said, I think the learning process continues. Yeah, I mean, if they don't know wrestling, they can't be a good wrestling coach, right? Mm-hmm. And then obviously, like in football, I don't know how many assistants they get, but when I look at a college football game, it seems like there's like a bazillion over there, right?
And that's what I wanted to push back a little bit, that a lot of times head coaches weren't maybe the best football players, but their staff is full of good football players who teach the guys techniques and whatnot.
Well, at Oregon State,
good on
it's
what
the
level
opposite.
though? Because if you think about good on what level? Because you think about like in wrestling, those guys who maybe are football coaches, a lot of times would be playing in the NFL, right? So you're getting like the next level of crop, and that's where it's like, I don't think you have to be that highest level wrestler, but lots of times the best jobs for wrestling people who want to stay in wrestling are college wrestling coaches. So you get the very best doing that, right? Or no?
Yeah, at Oregon State, it's the opposite. Clearly, their most credentialed person on staff is their head coach, and then everybody after that is the least credentialed. But then you have like guys like Nate Angle and Josh Roden who have been. It's not like they're fresh out of college and didn't have great careers. They've been in the coaching game for years, and they're proven. They're proven leaders. Where it's like what Roden did at Clackamas is like crazy impressive. He took over that program when they were like outside the top 20 and they won 5 national titles. He put like so many guys in Division I rooms and stuff. So like they're proven in ways beyond what they did on the mat.
I mean, they check all the boxes there. I mean, if you got 3 guys, I mean, you want people to be different. I mean, I think what they're doing there is fantastic, and I agree with that too, because I just remember once, this is probably 10, 15 years ago, was just talking about wrestling coaches, not all of them, just a general comment, but it's relevant to what we're talking about. Like, if they weren't coaching wrestling, what would they be doing? Right? It's like, there's some of them, it's like, man, you don't know what they would do, right? And then you got some guys like, Tom Ryan comes to mind, Brian Smith comes to mind, Rob Colton. You got some of these guys, Zeke Jones, and you got a lot of them where it's like, if they weren't coaching wrestling, they'd be running some business. Pendleton reminds me of one of those guys. Smart.
Yeah, sharp dude.
I agree. Hey, I just I put it in the doc, Tyler, at the very, very top. But we had someone sent me a message on Twitter. The mat coach, wrestling mats used to be square. Genius. Until in 1980 they made a rule that they had to be circles.
I like this. I like the circle. I think it just makes more sense.
Why?
I just, it's more even.
More wrestling area. It's more even.
Yeah, it's more even than a square, which is like all points are not equal distant from the middle of the mat.
What do you think about that square right there?
I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Why not?
It's
more wrestling area. For what you get more area to wrestle. That's what we want. We want as much area to wrestle as possible.
It would make the corners a little tricky, like going out of bounds and whatnot.
Yeah, I don't want these tricky corners. Okay.
Tricky corners. We have corner drills, not edge drills now. Corner drills. Edge drills and corner drills.
Okay. Why don't we? AJ Ferrari's back. He says he's back, and he said he's back by doing a deadlift for his back. Yeah, this is a pretty funny post. If you haven't checked it out, made a funny face in his Instagram. Oh, Tyler's back here. He's fixing our TV. I don't know why.
Where's Tyler?
A couple. You can't see him, but he's really close. He's like over there, but because he has it framed up like such a pro, you won't even see him walking now. He's leaving. There he goes.
What's wrong with your TV?
I don't know what happened. It's still out. I don't know if he knows that.
Oh,
I think it worked for a second, but anyways, this happened last week for some odd reason.
You guys got to get a state-of-the-art studio like myself. Do you ever see my TV go out? I don't freaking think so.
No, I don't know what's wrong. I don't know if it's the TV or what it is.
You know what's funny? I never bought a TV before this one. Like I don't really watch TVs. They're so cheap. This is like $70 or something. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, TVs are like not much anymore. I don't know. Oh, there's Tyler. Look at him. He's here. What's up, Tyler? You're getting a raucous ovation from the call, awesome. Tyler.
Absolutely.
That may be the only time you've seen Tyler on camera. He's kind of like Wilson from Free Britney. He was on. He's like Wilson from Home Alone. Remember?
You never see his face.
You only saw him from here out. There you just saw his back and trying to fix the.
Well, Wilson wasn't that? It wasn't Home Alone. That was
Home Alone. Home Improvement.
Home Improvement.
Sorry.
That was the name of that show. It's been a while.
Sorry. Yeah, I feel like JD is the closest thing we have to a modern day Tim Allen.
Tool time.
Tim the Tool Man Taylor.
Magnum PI. Magnum PI.
Oh my gosh. Okay. JD, we haven't heard from you a little bit. What are you itching to talk about?
What am I itching to talk about?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. We can get to some questions.
No itches. Let's get to some
we
questions.
got Pan Am Juniors this weekend, right?
Have we seen rosters for that yet?
Well, I wanted to ask Kozak, who's our international expert, are there any good, like U17, there's not really any good kids at Pan Am's. Are there any good juniors at Pan Am's from other countries, not from non-American? JD says no way.
JD says no.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, Cuba doesn't never like sends people, so
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to wait and
occasionally
see.
there will be like one or two good people, but even for the most part, it's pretty much the same as seniors, where we do very well at Pan Am's across all age levels.
Yeah. It's normally a kind of a bloodbath for the home team.
All right. But it's not the home team because we're in Mexico.
We're the home team, though.
I don't want to let you know it's in Mexico. That is not our home.
You know what I mean when I say home team.
I mean, you mean your favorite team, I think.
If they don't win, it's a shame. All right. Here's a question from AZ Wrestling Fan. Do you like the tripod takedown rule in folk style or freestyle better? Why?
I mean, where it's not a takedown?
It's not. Well, they're saying which do you prefer? Because it is a takedown in folk style. It's not in freestyle. Which do you like?
I think it makes sense. I think it actually makes sense as a takedown. I mean, obviously you get some interesting situations in freestyle, but I think it makes sense as a takedown. The one that I was actually just talking about this yesterday to some kids that I would definitely take out of folk style is the Merkle position. That is not a takedown in freestyle. I hate it as a takedown. I think it is not a control position. I think you should have to battle it out and clear your hips and get behind. So that's the one in freestyle that I would definitely implement in folk.
Yeah,
although sometimes that allows people to step over and hook with their leg,
which is good. That's fine. That's a fine tactic, I think.
I agree.
Because actually, if you watch the internationalized, the little internationalized are really tricky at flipping their hip out and getting behind real quick from there. A lot of them.
Yeah, I don't like it either because it's just like you're not covering the hips. You're not. It's just a weird thing to say you have control because you have the sides headlock sort of controlled and a near leg in, but your leg is under and hooked. And also, like, for the reason it's not consistently called, right? And just like the Starachi Kemmer thing that was debated.
Great example.
It's debated because it's debatable. It's when is it?
It's debated because it's debatable.
Yeah, it's like it's a real question. Okay, yeah, he's got the handlock, but the leg is in, but was it threaded? Was it hooked? Does it need to be hooked?
Yeah.
Is it?
No, I agree.
It's like, all right, just get rid of this thing. And if if you do the if you roll him through on the Merkle and hold him on his back, of course, and that's great. But you don't even see that anymore, other than the high school level.
Yeah. So what do you think about the quad? I mean, I say folk style quad because it's a takedown. And I'll just tell you guys, coaching wise, I advise most of my guys don't bother with the quad unless there's short time. We had too many guys. I actually banned it. A couple of years ago, I said, if you guys freaking do this, there is going to be a punishment. I never had to, follow through with my punishment. But so many guys getting trap arm gutted, laced, thrown for 4 from the quad. So just give up the freaking 2 points. Unless you're really, really elite there, just give up 2. It's stupid to try to quad.
Yeah, there's the risk
unless you're Frank Chamizo.
Yeah,
he would be elite, so he would qualify under my criteria.
Yeah, he's not a member of the AWA yet. The risk reward there is crazy, and even there's a very small number of guys that can really defend from there. Okay.
So would you guys make it a which one would you go with? Folk style?
I think it should. I like the folk style takedown. I think you get behind a guy, quad pod. That should be. I think I like that to be a takedown.
Yes, I agree.
And then in freestyle, you know what? If you want to hold that position and defend parterre from there, I don't think anyone would. I think people would drop down, but I think it would make. I think it adds a little more clarity, and I think it's a pretty tough barrier to get to. It's tough. It's a hard position to get to. It's not. It doesn't give you easier takedowns.
Yes.
Unlike the crazy one we saw in the Zane Jo one, where it was like flash knee hit or something, some weird thing like that.
That's the thing about freestyle is like in some instances it's significantly the rigor to score a takedown is significantly harder than folk style. So like the Merkle we brought up, or the quad which we just brought up. But in some instances they give the two at like this, like they're there for a millisecond. They cross over like like the Gross and Dayton position on the edge, where it's like Gross crossed over that threshold for like 0.1 seconds, and they gave it. Or the Jo one, where he was there for 0.1 seconds and they gave it. So in some instances, the rigor to get a takedown in freestyle is much larger. And then in some instances, it's like really, really low. And I do get annoyed by that.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It can be tough. Okay, Adam Rush, if you can make one super match between any two college wrestlers within one weight class, which one do you want to see? Same team or different teams? Last year,
RBY.
Spencer RBY is the first one I came up with.
Gosh, that is insane. Man, who would win that? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Go on.
I last year I would have said one of my favorites would have been Carr versus Keegan, but now we could very well see that.
See that this year.
See that this year multiple times. Could see it at the dual conferences, NC2As.
We could see AJ Gable.
Oh my gosh,
That'd be fun.
AJ Ford Focus, as Gable called him.
Yeah. That ain't a match no more.
That's not a match at all.
Yeah.
That was never a match. Never.
Yeah. I mean, I want to see it. I'd watch it.
Oh yeah,
Sure.
I'd watch it. It'll be more competitive if it's a totally scripted thing.
What
like
about
WWE.
the other way around? Brooks, Ferrari.
I was thinking Brooks also. That would be a highly competitive match. I mean,
Or
I feel like it would be crazy boring. I feel like both. I feel like very, very limited attacks. Some not so aesthetically pleasing top wrestling.
Yep.
I would. What else would I say?
Keegan Storace.
Keegan Storace. That's a lot of
Do it.
horsepower for Keegan to deal with, though.
I was thinking.
That's a.
Before David moved up, Yanni versus Carr would have been
Yes.
fun.
Yeah, now it's like, who is Yanni? Who could Yanni? I feel like Yanni could go any three weights and just be untouched. Like, who at 157 is going to give Yanni? Who would give Mahdi a little difficulty? And Quincy Monday might be moving up as well.
Yeah, I heard that too.
So, Deacon's gone. He's gonna work with Shane Sparks, I think. Shane's gonna hire him.
Love to.
So who is left? Willits is gone. Carr's gone.
Corey Teamer,
Monday.
Peyton Robb.
Teamer, that'd be fun. I'm totally in for Teamer Yanni.
Oh, Yanni worked.
I'm so in. We're gonna have
I'm
some
not in.
really outstanding scrambles though. I'm so in to watch it. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Real quick, funny Deacon story, real quick. Was on Ryan's Twitter, I think it was. He went to some wrestling camp, and one of the kids asked him didn't know much about him, and asked him if he ever qualified for the national tournament.
Yeah, I did.
They have won it.
That's not
Didn't
even.
just
I got a
qualify.
better one. Do you guys remember my Verclaren one? You guys don't remember this? I was in high school. I was in high school. Verclaren was in high school. Probably. Let's see. Spencer was probably either sophomore, going to be a junior. I don't think he committed to Iowa, so I want to say sophomore, going to be a junior. This is a long time ago now. And I went to Young Guns, their camp for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years in a row, where I taught in the summer. And I wanted to get a workout in. I think I was probably still competing at this point. I was definitely still competing. And so I rolled with a bunch of their dudes over the lunch break, And I was not being a dick to Verclaren, but it was like I was wrestling him and I was scoring every single time, but I was kind of letting him get close, and then I would score, I'd let him get close, and I'd score, and I would just keep doing it over and over. And then at the end of the session, he's like, "Man, you're pretty good at scrambling. Usually I beat everyone there." I'm like, oh man.
Oh my God.
That's great.
That's really funny. Good.
That's awesome. That is good stuff.
As it turns out, Jared. Well, it's fun.
turns
You don't
I'm
know
okay there.
what some kids don't really follow it as much as they do it. You know.
Yeah.
Remember, Ed Ruth didn't know who Kale was
Ed
when
Ruth?
he got the job.
Yeah.
He's like, I had to
Ed
wrestle
Ruth
him.
didn't know
and
who
was
I
like, oh,
was
this
when
guy's pretty
we
good.
worked out, and he thought I was Jake Herbert. Do you remember that story?
What?
You don't remember that story either?
No. I think I
Oh
remember
my
that from
gosh.
clearing one. Now that you.
What's that, Ben?
So Ed Ruth, my buddy John Veal, he's in the chat sometimes. He hired he could probably verify this story in the chat. He hired Ed Ruth to come do a wrestling camp, and it was kind of close. So I said, "Hey, John, if Ed wants a workout, let me know, and I'll come over and I'll roll with him." And so he said, "Okay." So Ed's like, "Okay, he wants to work out." So we sparred a little bit, right? We never went live. But there's this tricky move I do, and I did it to him like 3 times. and so the next day, John says they're doing camp, and they stop and they start going live, and Ed's in there wrestling with kids, and he sees Ed just kind of hammering this kid, just doing the same move over and over again. And John's like, "What's that move you're trying to do?" He said, "Man, I just can't figure out what Jake Herbert was doing to me yesterday."
Oh my gosh! What was the move?
It was just this one. We were rolling. It was just one that, who I learned it from was Justin Spates, who never achieved a high level of college success, but was really good. Where you go like high flyer, and then they catch you, and then you slip the underarm, and then you dump them over from there. But yeah. So he was doing it to a high school kid, and John said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I just can't figure out what Jake Herbert was doing to me yesterday."
Oh my gosh, Jake Herbert. Now, what year was this again?
Oh, wow. A long time ago. Probably 2013, 2014, like a really long time ago. He was probably still in college.
Because he, like in 2014-15, wrestled Jake to make the team.
No, so maybe earlier.
Before then. Because if he had wrestled Jake Herbert to make a team,
it was definitely before then.
Okay.
Definitely before that. It was early.
That would be an all-time.
That's right there with the greatest story of all time along these same lines is John Olerud and Ricky Henderson back in the day. They played together with the Mets. Was it the Mets and or Toronto? I can't remember who came first. But
that was Toronto.
Then they were teammates down the road, and Ricky Henderson said, "Yeah, I used to play with a guy in New York because John Olerud wore a helmet out at first base, so they were teammates in one city, and then years back they in the next city." And Henderson's like, "Yeah, I used meets him." And he goes, "Yeah, I used to play with a guy that wore a helmet back in New York or whatever." Same guy.
Oh my gosh, that's wild. Yeah, John Olerud, he's a very good first baseman for the Blue Jays. I remember.
Yeah, they played. It would have been Blue Jays first. They played on those Blue Jays teams early. I think they won a World Series together in '93. Mets, I think it was '99. It was like 5 years later. Yeah, I used to play with a guy that wore a helmet in Toronto. Same
he
guy.
looked a lot like you, John.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Ricky Henderson, man, he was the man.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. All right. Question: if you could have had the training advantages growing up at AWA, how much better of a wrestler would you have been if you were Askren trained all of childhood? I don't know who this is for, but we'll say it's for Ben.
Well, that would be hard to say because my current ceiling is very high. So how much higher could I have actually gotten? And then I'll say in a way I am because my high school coach was John Messbrink, who's also an AWA coach. So kind of. Ipso facto, I was, yeah.
Also, I think probably the only, and for me to speak for you, but you probably just would have reached that level quicker, right?
Quicker, maybe.
But probably ultimately would have, I don't want to say capped out, but at a similar point, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, like how much? I don't want to brag here, but I did win 2 Hodges, so like how much better could I have potentially gotten?
3 Hodges.
Maybe beat that son of a bitch, Chris Pelton, a couple more times.
SOB. Dang it, Chris. Yeah, I would have. Yeah.
Ben, let me ask you this: talking about high school coaches and Coach Messenbrink, because if I had $1 for every time I said Messenbrink Magic on a Wisconsin high school tournament broadcast, I'd have a lot of money because it's all the time. Yeah. Semifinals, Arrowhead has always been so good. You know John obviously very well. What is it with that? Like, it's consistent.
Yeah, he's just a really good coach, and guys get consistent. I think the thing is he just gets guys to constantly improve. And so when people beat other people, they were surprised because they were not at that level at that point in time, and they just got better, right? And then they beat them, and then everyone was surprised. But it was like, well, I mean, I don't say like Kale because it's obviously Wisconsin high school wrestling and NCAA not the exact same level, but it's like guys just consistently improve under a specific coach, and after a while, you see a trend, and you're not shocked by it anymore.
Are you surprised he never coached in college? He talking about like we were talking about before earlier with Chris Pendleton and his staff. Yeah. I mean, John Messenbrink can coach college wrestling.
Yeah, I think given the right opportunity, he would have done outstanding at the college level. But there are limited opportunities, especially if you get out and you're a high school teacher and you're coaching. It's like, how many college opportunities are there, especially if you didn't have a ton of college success and not well connected? Because I'm sure that's part of getting college jobs too, is like, who are your teammates, who are you connected with?
Sure.
And they know you from being on a U20 team, or they know you from training at the training center or something like that. Oh, I know.
Where did he wrestle in college? Was it Drake?
Drake, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm sure he went outstanding, but yeah, there's just not plentiful jobs. And obviously, if you're a high school teacher and a high school coach, you're probably making more money as a high school teacher than any Division II or Division III job, I would say. So it's like you're probably not going to take a step down and try to get one of those. Yeah, I don't know. It just that transition is tough, and we don't see it. We do see it. Dresser did it, right? Goodale did it. Like, it's been done. It just doesn't happen a lot.
Yeah, well, it's a weird thing that it doesn't happen a lot because it's been I feel like the coaching credentials and like crossover from being just an elite wrestler to just now I'm a coach. It's the success rate, I would say, would be much higher for someone who has coached an elite high school level, right? Because you've done a lot of the things that are required in coaching. So it's weird that more college coaches or high school coaches haven't made the jump, but also I'm not sure how many are. Like, was Jeff Buxton ever really looking to be like a Division I coach? Obviously, he would be on the short list for probably most jobs in America if he had wanted it, right? But I think the high school.
The other thing, Christian, that you're neglecting here too is, and especially when we're talking about the high school teachers who are also coaches, is it's only in recent years where Division I college assistants actually are making good money. A lot of them are right now, not all of them, but I remember Brian Smith offered me the head assistant job. I want to say it's a long time, 2014. No, it was when I was in Bellator, so probably 2012, 2013, somewhere in there. And it was like, I want to say I paid $42,000 or something like that. It's like, dude, Brian, I love you. And actually, honestly, had the salary been really good back then, I may have taken it, but I'm making more in a Bellator fight, one singular Bellator fight, than I am for an entire year of coaching. Like, I can't take that step down right now, unfortunately, And so it was like a high school teacher for an entire year was definitely making more money than that.
Not by much.
I don't know.
A husband
I feel
and
like
a teacher and a former teacher.
Depends on the district. I mean, in Wisconsin,
I feel like some in Wisconsin are really good.
Well.
Yeah, I feel like they're kind of higher.
Yeah.
So that's also you have to consider that factor as well.
Yeah. That's not great. That's a good point too. But fortunately, it is improving to an extent. Okay. So this guy had a Penn State question, but we need Sion on for that. FRL is the best. Wants to know if Ben ever heard the Rogan podcast on coyotes. They're like Hydra. Kill them and they'll breed more based on a nightly check-in.
Wait, so how do you get rid of them then? Because there's got to be a way to get rid of them, right?
Well, you just got to kill a lot of them, I guess.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard the podcast, but they're a big problem. I also think
Hydra.
You know what the Hydra is?
Cut off.
It's the snake there's a disc golf that's called the Hydra, right? And it has a bunch of snakes on the head.
Of course. It's a disc golf disc.
Cut off
no, it's a mythological. I know it's a mythological creature.
Yeah.
I know that. No, with the coyotes though, I live in a relatively urban-ish area. I think the thing is, though, we had that gun club that was closed down. Maybe they'll shoot them because the gun club was closed. Did you guys ever? I told you guys this about my house.
I don't know about the gun club.
We neighbor a gun club that's 36 acres, but in 2011, they shot a bullet over the hill and hit someone at the restaurant, and they've been shut down forever. Yes, like they've been fighting in court for like 10 years. But then just finally last year, they finally caved and someone bought them. And the stipulation was there's an indoor only range going in back there.
How did it?
So
did it kill somebody?
Solutions, right?
It didn't kill. It wasn't even like a really major. Like, it hit him in the arm or something like that. But yeah, it got him shut down for like a decade.
Dang.
Minor flesh wound, no big deal.
Dang, that's crazy.
Dick Cheney did it.
Yeah. So with this indoor range, it's supposed to be really nice that's going in. They'll probably want to kill the coyote also. But there's a whole bunch of wildlife back there because obviously, like, for 10 years straight, nobody's been back there. And it's like, it's like 36 acres in the middle of a whole bunch of neighborhoods and businesses and stuff like that.
Yeah, you need the gun club. You need to cut those guys loose. They've
They'll
got this
probably
outlet.
shoot the coyote. They have guns. They know how to shoot coyotes. I'm sure.
Have you guys heard about the super PAC, the wolf super PAC in Russia?
Oh no!
What?
Tell us about it.
No, this is like Alien Hour.
It was 10 years ago, and it was reportedly 400 wolves. They terrorized this Russian town. They killed 30 horses in just 4 days.
Oh my
They're
gosh!
just killing a bunch of animals.
So is it still around, or did they shoot him or something?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I just remember that there's a super
I'm gonna
PAC.
look up Russian wolf super PAC.
Super PAC.
Yeah, look into
Wow.
it.
Yeah, we'll look into that. Okay.
That's almost as bad as 40 to 50 feral hogs.
The hogs, yeah. Rogan talks about hogs all the time.
Oh, Rogan's talking about the wolf super PAC. That's where you heard about this. What is a wolf super PAC? Does it actually exist? Let's see.
Sounds like a political organization.
Yes, in Verkhoyansk, Russia, northern region of Yakutia.
Ooh, that's way up there.
Yep.
Paradise, they say. All right.
I'd say from now on Wednesdays, it's the Wolf Super PAC show. That's
Wednesday.
Yeah, when we have this many people, it's the super. It's our own super PAC. We're not going to go eat some horse meat, but I think we are going to go. Appreciate Shane and JD and Ben calling in. Appreciate Kozak hopping on. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll do it again. Thank you guys so much for listening. Have a great Wednesday. Stay cool.